Hi, in this video, I'm going to show you a couple of my favorite natural evening makeup looks. These looks are really just meant to bump up natural everyday makeup, but not make you feel like you have a really heavy, cakey face of obvious makeup. So feel free to join me if you're looking for any holiday or evening natural makeup inspiration. I'm just going to give you a little recap about the skincare that I'm using. I have the JLo Beauty That Blockbuster cream on. It is a really thick cream. If I hold it up like this, it doesn't even move in the container. So my skin's been really dry. Who am I kidding? My skin is always dry. And I need things that have a lot of longevity after they're applied. If it absorbs into my skin and I don't have that kind of balmy, tacky feeling, it's not gonna work for me. And now that I'm in my late 30s, my skin is a little bit more particular than it used to be. I'm not patient enough to try to identify what specific ingredients I might react to. I just try different moisturizers, and if I like the texture and it doesn't cause me to break out, then I stick with it. And for right now, the JLo cream is giving me that. I also have on a lip moisturizer. I don't want to have dry, crackled lips. This is going to be a holiday / evening makeup look. So I'm definitely going to do a colorful or vibrant or defined, I'm not quite sure yet, lip, but I need my lips to be hydrated. Can't have any dryness or flakiness by the time I get to that point in the makeup routine. So when it comes to holiday or any type of evening makeup look, I think you can really simplify it for yourself and decide what you want to play up. Usually you're going to be emphasizing your eyes or your lips. That's not a rule, obviously, but I think it's a general theory when it comes to makeup to not overwhelm your whole entire face and to choose something that you really want to be the focal point. So I'm going to do the first half of this tutorial doing a look that's pretty simplistic all over my face and that has a little bit more color on my lip. Then I'm going to build up my eye makeup, take that lip down, and let the eyes be the focal point. You can use any combination of colors for this. It's more about the depth and the boldness that you really want to be intentional with. So do you want a lip that has more depth, more pigment, more defined lines? Or do you want an eye that has more depth, more pigment, more va-va-voom, I guess you could say? But for starters, I'm gonna get my complexion on. I just ordered the NARS Pure Radiant Tinted Moisturizer. I used to use this all of the time in the past. I used to work for NARS. I worked at one of their boutiques in Soho, and this was my go-to, but they recently expanded the shade range, and I've been really excited to try this out. So this is the shade of Gotland, Light 1.2. I used to be in between their old shades. And as a makeup artist, I'm constantly mixing pigments, so I had no problem mixing shades. But it is really nice that they've expanded their shade range of all of their products. They have so many colors for every different skin tone in all of their complexion products, concealers, foundations, powders. So I have probably like a pea-sized amount, and I'm going to emulsify it in my fingers. So warm it up a little bit and just get it distributed on my hands, and then I'm going to apply it. So rubbing spreads the product out, patting kind of builds up coverage and gets rid of any little lines. Kind of think of this as like using a beauty blender. It helps blend. With the beauty blender, you're doing this kind of stippling motion, and so I'm just doing that with my fingers to blend this product in. So I get a general application. Usually I need a little bit more around my nose. This is definitely a light to medium coverage tinted moisturizer. Some tinted moisturizers are a little bit fuller coverage. This one is more sheer. And yes, I am applying this over the top of a moisturizer. For most people, that's generally what I would do unless somebody had really, really oily skin. So that's a really beautiful sheer finish, and the color seems to match my skin pretty darn well, which is kind of a happy accident because I think I tried to order a different shade that they were sold out of, and this was the next closest shade, and I bought it and it looks good. So all of my summer colors that I've used in past videos are definitely too dark now, so I'm glad that I got this. They also, I don't know how recently, but semi-recently introduced this product called Light Reflecting Eye Primer. Basically, it's like a concealer. Despite the fact that I just said that they have a ton of shades in all of their complexion products, this they only have 4 or 5 shades in. It's supposed to be, I'm assuming, adaptable and versatile, but this is the shade of Night Swan. They might market this as something that's meant to be used in addition to a concealer for different makeup looks or complexions, but I am very minimalistic when it comes to complexion products. I don't like to feel or look like I have a bunch of makeup on, especially under the eyes where little fine lines and dryness tend to creep in, especially in your late 30s. Actually, I think I started noticing my skin texture change around 35. is when I started really seeing like forehead lines that stay there when I stop frowning or lifting my eyebrows, and little lines around my eyes, especially because I am a side sleeper, despite the fact that I know that it's horrible for my face and my chest, but it's just so comfortable. So I continue to sleep on my side most nights, and that lends itself to me getting some, I'm sure, very permanent wrinkles at some point in the future. So I'm just using my fingers, dabbing a little bit of this through the center of my face where I know that I get a little bit more red. But I really like the texture of this. This is a nice combination of hydrating, but not so hydrating that it slips around on the skin. I think that's one of the features that were mentioned on the website, or maybe some of the reviews said that it doesn't really gather in creases. Do not believe what you read. If a product says that it is like crease proof or resistant, particularly under your eyes, makeup is going to gather and define lines and creases. It just is what it is. If you have something creamy on top of a crevice, over time it's inevitable that it's going to crease a little bit, unless you put quite a decent amount of powder on top of it to kind of set it in place. But then you end up with powdery looking skin, which to me just emphasizes fine lines and skin texture in a different way. So speaking of powder, I will use a tiny bit. This is a loose powder from Ilia Cosmetics. It is the Radiant Translucent Powder with an SPF of 20 in the shade of Magic Sands. And I am going to use an eyeshadow brush to apply this. I like to be really light-handed with powder. I'm gonna press any excess into my hand. You can see there's not really a lot on the bristles. And I'm just gonna take this through the center of my face, where the light is probably reflecting right off of and where I don't want to look shiny. Generally speaking, I love glowy, radiant skin. I would rather have a little more shine and a little less powder than be fully matte. So the next thing that I like to do after getting my complexion done is eyebrows. To me, eyebrows are a very foundational element of makeup. When I'm doing my makeup or somebody else's makeup, I get the complexion done and then I always do the eyebrows, and that really makes me feel like I have the foundation of the face complete so that I can go in and add color and do shaping. So I comb my eyebrows into place. I'm using an e.l.f. eyebrow pencil and going around the perimeter of my eyebrow. Not really widening my eyebrow, I'm just emphasizing the outer edges. Everybody's eyebrows are a little bit different. Some people may require more shading. Some people might be missing a portion of their eyebrow and kind of have to create something from scratch. Other people might have really, really full eyebrows that are really dense that don't need to be filled in anymore and maybe just need like a clear gel to hold them in place and make the hair shine a little bit. And then maybe you're like me, where you have thin eyebrows because you plucked them all out in the 90s and kind of just working with what you have. So I'm using a really light hand. The difference between that is not what I'm doing. I am literally grazing the skin barely. And then I go through and comb. So I'm really just trying to create a really light veil of color behind the hair. This is not about drawing in really dense, dark eyebrows. This is trying to mimic a natural eyebrow, enhance what's already there, and just refine the shape and create the illusion of fullness. Unless you really want dense, dark eyebrows. But for me, I do not like to look like I have product in my eyebrows when I'm in person. If I look in the mirror and I see what appears to be eyeshadow or pencil behind the hair, it drives me absolutely crazy. And so I really put forth minimal. It's a lot of effort because I'm being intentional with the pressure of the pencil, but I'm also, let's see, this feels like an oxymoron somehow. It's not a lot of effort because I'm not applying a lot of pressure and I'm being really light-handed, but it is a lot of effort because I'm being intentional. I mean, at this point for me, it's like muscle memory not to apply a lot of pressure, but when you're first practicing this, it might not feel intuitive and you might feel like you're not applying any product if you're not pressing down hard. Does that make sense? So now I'm gonna go in with this e.l.f. product that I just touched the skin with, which I did not want to do, but whatever. We will do damage control. I rotate the brush. I use one side of the brush. Once I get all the product off, I spin it over and use the other side of the brush. I am obsessed with e.l.f. I've been buying their products from Target and I am so impressed with... Okay, so my camera died and I don't know what was included in that. So I am just using this e.l.f. brow gel that I absolutely love to go in and comb the hairs up to add a little bit of definition to the hair. And this brow gel I love because it has tiny little fibers in it that adhere to the hairs and make them look thicker. The only other brow gel that I'm aware of that has fibers in it is the Gimme Brow from Benefit, which is a lot more expensive. I'm sure there are other brands out there that have, you know, this formula as well, but this is a fantastic eyebrow gel. And also the wand is really great. I'm a stickler about brow gel wands. A lot of wands apply way too much product and it's really hard not to touch your skin, which can make your eyebrows look muddy or artificial like we were talking earlier. I really try to not apply a lot of product on the skin for this feathered natural eyebrow look. And this eyebrow gel is amazing, especially with the price point that it has, which is probably near $5. I do not fuss about making my eyebrows perfectly symmetrical. I know one is a little bit rounded, one is a little bit more angular. I use product to try to even them out a little bit, but eyebrows are sisters, not twins, and I really don't care if they're not perfect. That being said, if you do have a disaster and one of your eyebrows ends up looking way higher or something, you can use a little flat concealer brush with a little bit of concealer on it, like a tiny bit. I literally, you know, do a little dab. And this eyebrow is a little too rounded. And these eyebrow hairs are a little longer and always stick up higher. So if we're being nitpicky, I guess we can comb these down a little bit. I prefer them to look spikier, but the hair on this eyebrow grows longer than the hair on this eyebrow. So now I've got my complexion completed, I've got my eyebrows done. I pretty much have a blank canvas that I can go in and add a little bit of color. I think I'm just gonna use a Jones Road powdered bronzer. This is in the shade of medium tan, and I am going to take a mid-size powder brush. This is the Yachiyo brush from NARS. Comes to a nice little tapered point, so it's great for getting into little crevices. Basically helps you to be a little bit more precise with your application. And I'm going to apply this at the back of my cheekbones. And then I'm going to spin the brush, use the product that's on the other side. The reason that I like to stipple is because it doesn't remove makeup. If I really go in there and apply a lot of pressure and I'm going back and forth, that might remove some of my face makeup. Also, the reason why I don't have SPF on, well, there is some SPF in that tinted moisturizer. If it was daytime, I probably would have put a SPF under that. I definitely would have, but you know, presumably this is an evening makeup look and a holiday look, and I don't need sun protection past 4:30 in the afternoon when it gets pitch black out. Okay, not pitch black. That's a little bit dramatic. That's what it feels like. I'm also going to apply with the same brush a little bit of this Cheek Pop blush from Clinique in the shade Nude Pop. So this is a really light blush. You really have to build up the pigment. It's also really crumbly, so if I dig my brush in here, it's going to fall everywhere. So I'm just pressing the product into my brush, and then I'm going to apply a little bit of this above the apple of my cheek. Give myself a little guidepost where the apples of my cheek are. And this is just going to create a little bit more rosiness on the cheekbone area. So I'm gonna keep the eyes really subtle. I'm going to curl my eyelashes first, because if you apply eye makeup and then you curl your lashes, sometimes you remove your eye makeup with your lash curler if you're getting really close to the base of the lashes, which is ideal to get a really good curl. I go back in a few times. You can see I kind of pump the lash curler. Some people like to work all the way up the tip of the lash doing crimps. My lashes aren't really long enough for that, and I don't want them curling back into themselves pointing towards my eyelid. So I tend to just, you know, curl at the base of the lash. But hopefully you can see what curling your lashes does. Kind of makes them lift up and contrast against your eyelid, opens your eye up, and it makes your mascara stand out more when you put it on. Just curling my eyelashes makes me look better. Like, It just makes your eyes look brighter, just opens the eyes up, makes you look more bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Like, I always feel better after I curl my lashes. Even if I'm not wearing mascara, oftentimes I will curl my eyelashes. Okay, so I don't know where my eyeshadow bases are, so I'm just going to use a little bit of this concealer product, and I will apply powder over the top of this because I don't want my eyelids to crease. So the reason I'm applying this is to give my eyeshadow something to adhere to. I am not going to apply a lot of eyeshadow. Truth be told, I am very minimalistic with my makeup in everyday life, and oftentimes I will just do a face and maybe swipe a single eyeshadow on my eyelid that is pretty neutral, often shimmery, and then I will do a lip because you can have so much fun with different lip colors. But I will take the remainder of the powder, and I am going to take the same bronzer and swipe it through my crease. Really, this is just to create a little bit of depth and dimension on my eyes. I don't want to apply too much of this because I'm going to do an eye look afterwards and the lip is going to be the focal point. And I'm going to take a small little flat eyeshadow brush and pull some of this underneath my eye. This gives a little bit of something. Kind of makes it look a little bit more whimsical and romantic, I think. Pulling a really neutral crease color into the eye. I have a video of my favorite bronzer shades for fair complexions on my page in case anyone is interested. I'm going to apply a little bit of mascara. This is the Lash Sensational Sky Mascara from Maybelline. Okay, so now for the fun part. I gotta choose my lip. Should I do cherry red or should I do burgundy like my nails? That is the question. I'm actually gonna use this lipstick that I bought in the summertime, and then I was like, you know what? I wanna save this for winter. So this is a color from MAC. It is a matte lipstick. The shade is Love Cove, and it's one of their powder lip velvet blur slim lipsticks. Let's see if this is the color I wanna do. I'm gonna take a little bit of my High Beam from Benefit and put this on the tops of my cheekbones because I do feel like I need something that is a little luminous to make this feel holiday. Right now I have a matte lip and a matte eyelid, and I feel like this needs to be bumped up a little bit. We'll take whatever's left over on my eyelids. Because I am a freak with my eyebrows, the one thing I don't like about that brow gel that I used earlier is it doesn't have amazing hold. I don't think most colored brow gels do. And often I will go through with this clear brow gel from L'Oreal that has a tiny little wand. This will hold my eyebrows in place, and it makes them look nice and shiny and defined. And again, I am brow obsessed. Natural brow obsessed, and like them to look as full and feathered and natural as possible. If I would have just filled in my eyebrows with pencil or with eyeshadow and didn't use anything on the hair, they would look really producty. It wouldn't be dimensional. It wouldn't look like there was hair sitting off of the skin. And so I really like this technique because it makes especially thin, overly plucked eyebrows from the 90s, hello, really gives a little bit more fullness and they look natural. While my eyebrows are drying, I'm gonna make sure that my hair does not touch my eyebrows because it will point them to the ground. I'm gonna take a little bit of that Benefit, put it in the inner corner. Nothing brightens up the eyes quite like a little bit of highlight in the inner corner. So option one for natural evening makeup. I mean, to me, this is still natural because my complexion, the majority of my face is very minimalistic and there's just a pop of color on the lip. For kicks and giggles, I'll throw in another lip that maybe is a little less grungy. Maybe this is a little too grungy for some people, but again, has nothing to do with the color of lip you choose. Choose a lip color that you like, do the rest of your face minimalistic, but intentionally, and let the lip shine. I'm in the process of taking this off, but let's just see what it looks like. It's more of a stain. It's also pretty. If I was gonna do this, I just wouldn't have applied nearly as much lipstick. Okay, so I've removed that. I'm gonna take a little bit of concealer around the perimeter of my mouth, just in case I have any makeup hanging out there. It's okay if you get a little bit of foundation on your lips. Creates a blank canvas for your lipstick to go on top of. Now I'm going to use Ruby Woo. This was like the red of my 20s. And it's just an incredibly beautiful shade of red. So I'm gonna use this with Cherry Lip Liner, which is one of my favorite red combos. And look how opaque it is. It's just like perfectly opaque. So if I know I'm gonna be using a lip liner, I do not care what it looks like when I apply the lipstick. Always get the inner corners of your mouth. That's something that I learned from a really great makeup artist in New York City. It's kind of what sets apart a just thrown on bold lip versus a finished bold lip, is connecting the top and bottom lip. So with the lip liner, you can customize the shape of your mouth. You can correct asymmetries, you can create more fullness, you can make the lips rounder, more angular. What I think I want to do is go just beyond my bow. Just beyond. If you draw way too far outside of your lip line, it's going to be blatantly obvious because there's a difference in texture between the skin on your face and the skin on your lips. And also there is a difference in like buoyancy, like your lips puffy and protruded and your face isn't. So if you draw too far outside of your lip line, it's just obvious. But sometimes it's necessary to go a little outside the lip line to create the effect you're trying to create or to correct asymmetrical shapes. Okay, I have to stop. I'm gonna drive myself crazy. I could do lip liner all day long. Okay, so here is my Ruby Woo. This is another alternative for your holiday or evening makeup look. Again, you can do this with any lip color and also any lip opacity. I'm doing really bold lip shades today just because I like bold lip shades and it's been so long since I've worn a bold lipstick. You don't have to make your lip as dramatic. Just doing really subtle shading on the face, kind of evening out the complexion, always creating a beautiful eyebrow, and then having a pop of color on the lip of your choice, something that you feel comfortable in, that goes with your outfit, and that flatters your complexion. I'm gonna take this lipstick off, and then I'm gonna show you how you can play up your eyes as an alternative look. So when I think of holiday, especially with eye makeup, I always think of shimmer, something that catches the light. So I'm definitely gonna add a little bit of shimmer to my eyelids. But to begin with, I'm gonna use this new e.l.f. palette that I'm so excited about. e.l.f. has me so thoroughly impressed with their products and tools. I'm a massive fan of their stippling brushes. Their eyebrow products are awesome, and I have high expectations and hopes for this eyeshadow palette. So this is the Mad for Matte Nude Mood. I got this from Target, and it's just a bunch of really beautiful matte shades. And I like that there's cool tones and warm tones because oftentimes palettes are either cool or warm tone, and this is a nice combination of all shades. Okay, so I'm just gonna go in here and I have no plan. I'm just gonna do some natural makeup. I am gonna take this shade and I'm just gonna get the product on the tip of my brush. Not digging it in here, no point in wasting product. And I am going to take this through the crease. You know, natural means something different to everybody. So you can always customize how much product you use, how built up the pigment gets. It's really just the techniques and placement, you know, same like I was saying for the lip. You can do a sheer version of it or you can do an opaque version once you have kind of the techniques and placement down. So I am taking this through my crease, following my eye shape, a little bit of definition underneath my brow bone. So the reason we use darker colors in the crease is because darker colors give the illusion that things are receding. It pushes things backwards. So by putting a slightly darker color in the crease, it makes my eyelid look like it's coming forward and my brow bone look like it's coming forward, and it just helps to create more depth and dimension. That's all makeup really is. It's creating depth and dimension. You don't want to dig the brush too harshly into the skin. It's kind of lightly grazing the brush. I'm gonna bring this up onto my brow bone. If you have less space between your crease and eyebrow than I do, you might not want to bring this up quite as high. I'm gonna take a smaller brush and I'm gonna grab a little bit of this chocolatey brown and place it in the outer corner. This is a pretty basic makeup technique of placing darker products in the crease and then something lighter on the eyelid, which is what I'm going to do. Because this is not a full-blown smoky eye. This is a natural makeup tutorial. But because it's the holidays and we're trying to bump it up a little bit, we need a little bit of glam. I'm using the previous brush that I just used and kind of blending that all together. I want everything to look really soft and diffused. So I'm going to take this same color and I'm going to walk it under my lashes and connect in the outer corner. Kind of create like a rounded shape right here. Just want a little bit of definition on the lower lash line. So far, these eyeshadows adhere quite nicely. So this is the color I used originally in my crease. I'm going to use this shade right below it, which is a little bit lighter and a little bit more mauve-y. And I'm going to put it right at the perimeter, just beyond where the original color went. This would be called a transition shade. And it just kind of helps diffuse dark to light. I'm gonna use a little bit of my concealer right underneath and kind of create a little more definition with this eyeshadow. But you can see I'm not using a lot of it. My theory with makeup is less is more. You can always add more makeup, but it's really hard to take away makeup once you've applied too much of it. I'm gonna blend that so it's a diffused line. So now I'm going to add a little bit of eyeliner, and I am going to spray an angled brush with a little bit of Fix Plus from MAC. That product is fantastic for spritzing the face after you've completed your makeup to kind of make the makeup look a little more worn in and natural. But I just need something damp that I can use to dip into the eyeshadow so that it's a little less powdery. So I'm going to take the very outside shade, the darkest shade, and I'll kind of wipe the sides of the brush onto my hand so that all the bristles are sticking together. And now I'm going to go right at the edge of my eye. Kind of following my lower lash line, like I'm looking in the mirror, seeing where this lower lash line curves up and kind of using it as a guide. This eye is always harder for me because I'm right-handed, and you know, the wings oftentimes point in slightly different directions, but you can kind of fix that with Q-tips afterwards. I'm not wanting a dramatic eyeliner. I just want a little bit of extension off the ends of my eyes. Then I'll stamp a little bit of what's left over underneath just to kind of connect. Okay, and now I'm going to use that concealer brush again, and I'm just going to fan the edge of this out. This one always tends to be a little better for me because I'm right-handed and it's just easier to do that eye. Then I'm going to take the same little brush that I used in the outer corner and just kind of soften this so it kind of blends in with the eyeshadow and doesn't really have as much of a line of demarcation. So I'm going to try this palette that I was sent by, I think they called it Fluorasis. I thought it was Fluorasis, but I think they said Fluorasis. It's this Chinese makeup brand that has really ornate packaging and designs in their actual makeup. So this is what the box looks like, and I've been eager to try this product out because it has this really beautiful golden highlight. So this is what the packaging looks like. It's probably really reflective in the light here, but the actual packaging is very shimmery and has this really beautiful ornate design. And then this is a blush contour highlight palette. There's beautiful artwork inside of the makeup. Obviously, this has nothing to do with how the makeup functions, but for some reason they thought it was really important to display artwork in their makeup. And I did watch a little video on their website, and they talked about like different elements like fire and wood, different earthly elements, and I think that must be incorporated into their design. On to trying out this highlighter, which I am really excited about. One of their eyeshadow palettes received an Allure Best Of award, so they have been vetted by Allure, but I don't have any golden eyeshadows in my personal makeup kit, so I've been excited to try this. It's technically a highlighter, but you can use anything you want wherever you want. So to get right here, I'm going to flip the brush this way as opposed to going in because my eyelashes are in the way, and I also don't want to get eyeshadow all over my mascara from the last look I did. Just going to build this up a little bit. Let's go to this eye. And I'm gonna take some of this into the inner corner. This applies pretty shimmery. Oftentimes shimmery eyeshadows, you have to like dig your finger in there to get the reflective payoff. This actually is pretty shimmery on its own, but I'm gonna put a little bit of water on this brush and see what happens when I get it wet. Yeah, so that bumped up the sheen. You can see how that made it even more shimmery. And again, patting builds up opacity, rubbing spreads product around surface areas. So I need to go in and buff those edges out. We do not want any harsh shimmery lines. That is not a cute look. This eye, hopefully on camera, translates that it's a little more shimmery than this eye. And it's because by adding a little bit of water to the brush, not soaking it, it basically picks up and kind of melts all these little particles together, kind of creates more shine. Most shimmery eyeshadows you have at home, you should be able to do this with. I am always a fan of having shimmer in the inner corners of the eyes. And I also usually like to pop a little bit of whatever my shimmery color is right underneath the iris of my eye. Anything to draw attention to the colored part of your eye will make them stand out more. That's really pretty. I'm gonna try some of that on my cheekbones. It does kind of flake out a little bit, but that's kind of to be expected. I'm gonna put a little bit underneath my eyebrows. I'm just gonna take some of my finger and stick it right under my eyebrows. A little bit of this contour color and pull it through my crease. Not a lot though, because I do want my eyes to be really soft and diffused. I don't want this to end up looking muddy or too dramatic. So 2 thumbs up for the highlighter. I do like that. It's a little bit flaky, but it does apply pretty easily, which not all really shimmery products do. Sometimes they just fall all over your face and none of the sheen actually adheres to your skin. If your skin was really dry, nothing is going to adhere. You need some type of tackiness for shimmery particles to adhere to, but this did apply pretty decently and I'm excited to try the other shades out on a different day though. Okay, so this is supposed to be a natural makeup look. I don't really want to make this any more dramatic because it's supposed to be a natural evening makeup look. I am going to bump up my mascara. This will remove any powder that may have fallen on my eyelashes. And now I need a mirror that I can see my bottom lashes with. If you happen to get mascara on your skin, what you want to do is let it dry completely and then take a spoolie with nothing on it and give it a little gentle scrape and it will lift off the mascara without smudging it. Okay, so I'm going to apply a tiny bit of extra concealer because I bumped up the eye makeup and that is the exception that I will make for a little bit of extra concealer. So then I'll take the remnants of powder that I have here. So this eye isn't so dramatic that I couldn't do a bold lip if I wanted to. This isn't like a black smoky eye, but just for the sake of, choosing a focal point, the eyes or the lip to play up and having things feel balanced, I'm gonna make the lip a little bit more subtle. And I also really wanna try this City Lips lip plumper. Apparently it's non-irritating, they specify. They sent me a few different shades of these and I haven't tried them yet. They sent this really pretty peachy, golden, shimmery color. So I'm gonna use Whirl lip liner from MAC. When I was doing lipstick, I was putting the lip liner on afterwards. And the reason for that is I was getting most of the pigment from the lipstick. And so I was just using the lip liner to create symmetry and even out the lip shape. For this, I'm gonna be getting most of the color from the lip liner. So I wanna put that on first. Sometimes you need to warm a pencil up on the back of your hand. Put a little bit in the outer corner. So this just adds a little bit of definition, a little bit of fullness. And now we are going to try this lip plumper and see if it is in fact non-irritating. It smells like a lip plumper. I don't know why. They always have the same scent. It almost reminds me of tanning lotion. So far this isn't burning my lips though. It smells like a lip plumper, but it's not burning my lips. So this is nice. It's not tacky. It feels thick, but it's not tacky. And so far it isn't burning. I don't know if it's plumping my lips up or not. I kind of associate the feeling of tingling and burning with lip plumpers. So we'll kind of give it a minute to see if it like reduces the lines on my lips and makes them look a little fuller or not. Maybe I'm feeling a slight sensation of tingling now, like very, very subtle, nothing compared to a lot of other brands that I've used. And I'm just gonna put a tiny bit of powder through the hot spots. I can feel it kind of around the border of my mouth, but maybe the average person who doesn't have sensitive lips wouldn't be able to feel this at all. I think this is a really pretty lip color, but it kind of doesn't feel festive to me. So I think this is a nice evening night out look, but I think I wanna change the lip color for the more holiday oriented natural look. I guess I just associate burgundies and reds for holiday lip colors. Maybe what I can do is do a sheer version of the lip colors that I used earlier, or one of the lip colors. Let's try that. I think I like that better. And now maybe I will just use a tiny bit of that gloss through the center of my lip. I like the way that this gloss feels, and I think the color is really pretty. It does feel like it does a little bit of plumping. It's supposed to be non-irritating, so maybe it's like a really subtle version of a lip plumper. And I like that it's not tacky at all. It feels really hydrating. I really do like this gloss. I just can't speak to whether or not it actually plumps your lips significantly or not. Okay, that feels a little more festive to me. What I might do though is add a little bit of that highlight color that I used to my lip. So I'm gonna take a little bit of this. And maybe I'll try a little bit of this orangey shade, just to give myself a little more color on the cheek. That feels a little more holiday, and it still feels like natural evening makeup. So this is it. This is my second final look. Again, all of these techniques, the colors, they can all be customized to your preferences. These are just meant to give you ideas of how you can bump up your natural everyday makeup without feeling overdone or like you have a really cakey, heavy face of makeup. I think the key thing to consider is choose what you really want to draw attention to and emphasize. Are you really gearing more towards making your eyes stand out, or do you want to make a statement with a lip shade? Once you get that narrowed down, it's kind of easier to have a game plan for the rest of your makeup routine. And as you saw, sometimes you change course. Sometimes you have an idea and it just doesn't work out the way that you think it's going to, and that's completely fine. So if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments. Happy to answer if you have any things that you want to see or learn. Now that we have moved across the country and we are in our new location, I'll be back to making videos more consistently. And I hope everyone has a great holiday season. I don't know if this will be my last video before the new year. If so, Happy New Year, happy holidays, and I hope to see you next time.